those individuals.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for your contribution, Larry. Anyone
No
else
probs.
who you spoke to in your group and why would they consider doing an MBA program? All right, let me ask. Donovan, are you with us? Donovan, who you spoke to?
I'm here.
Okay, hi.
Spoke to a former. Hi, good day. I spoke to a former student, Ariane Abdul. So I was exploring the option to do my MBA, and she gave high recommendations of CTS in comparison to other institutions that I was exploring the options with. So here I am.
All right, but apart from the support at CTS College, any particular reason why you want to do the MBA program? Is it for professional reasons, personal reasons?
Both. Professional
Okay.
reasons. I have my own IT-based company, and I've been working in a senior managerial position in a lot of companies, and I think it's about time I take my qualifications to another level.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, the point is, guys, we're all here for various reasons and different reasons, and we want to consider an MBA for different reasons. For some of us, it may be professional. For some of us, it may be personal reasons as well. But let me just go through a few of the reasons why you'd want to consider doing an MBA program, and what are some of the potential benefits of doing an MBA program. One is promotion. So some of you who are in your organizations and you're looking to move up within your organization, probably move into management or supervisory level, then an MBA can certainly help you because of that qualification and that experience and the knowledge it brings to working professionals. Some of you may be considering changing your career entirely, but in order to do that, you need to develop, you need to attain the skill set to change your career. And of course, doing an MBA program may potentially help you with attaining that knowledge to change your career. Some of you, for example, may want an increased salary. I know in a lot of organizations today, your salary depends on the level of qualification that you have. So for example, there are salary ranges, and depending on whether or not you have a bachelor's degree or you have a master's degree, your salary can vary, and it could help you in achieving a higher salary within your own organization. Some of you may want to start or grow your own business. If you have your own business already and you want to develop that business, or you want to gain a strategic or competitive advantage, then having an MBA and attaining the knowledge from that MBA program may assist you with that. Some of you just want to become better leaders or managers within the organization, and that's fine, because the MBA is not only academic, it helps you to think strategically. It helps you to think within the organization, assess the environment, make changes with the staff and the resources that you have. And having an MBA program or getting the knowledge could help you with that as well. And some of you may have all of these, and all you want the MBA program for is personal achievement. And that's fine as well, because I mean, if you have everything and you just want that MBA behind your name, that's good. And recently, well, not recently, but prior to COVID, a lot of students were undertaking an MBA program because they were considering migrating to the US mainly and Canada mainly. And how that works is that depending on the experience that you have and the level of qualification which you have, it would help you in being approved for that process. And I can tell you this, prior to COVID lockdown, we had almost every week, we had students applying for transcripts to be sent to WES or other assessing bodies for the immigration departments in these countries. And they were applying because they wanted to go through the process to migrate legally to Canada and to the US. And so these are some of the reasons why you'd want to consider an MBA program, right? So let's move on. And some of you may be wondering, well, what are we doing based on the restrictions that were recently imposed, where you couldn't have large public gatherings, and of course, all schools were closed. And what we have been doing, when we got that notice, I believe it was on March the 13th, that schools were closed, or we had to close off and we couldn't have any face-to-face contact. What we did is we migrated our classes to online delivery. And this very platform which we are using here now, Zoom, we actually use it to deliver our MBA classes. So from March 13th or after that, we would have transitioned to online classes. Now, it's not very personal because as a lecturer, you can't see your students in the class, but it's the next best option we have. And the Zoom platform is very, very interactive. So we have lecturers who would use polls to ask students questions, which I would have used early on. They would use breakout rooms to split up the classes into groups to discuss topics amongst themselves. And then after the breakout rooms, the different groups or the different students would come back and you would discuss that topic, and they would have presented on that topic and on that discussion. So it's not just a case like where I am now talking to you for the entire duration of the class. It's more interactive sessions. And if ever you've used Zoom or you've hosted on Zoom, you'd realize Zoom allows for very interactive. It has a lot of interactive features in it. And some right now are using the Zoom to deliver the classes. In fact, so much so that students now don't really want to go back to the face-to-face classes because it's convenient, right? You could attend a class in the convenience of your own home or in your own workplace or wherever you are. You don't have to travel or traverse to CTS college to undertake your classes. And apart from that, what we do is we make the recordings available, which is not a benefit you would have if you attend face-to-face classes, yeah? So when we send that recording, if you didn't attend class, not that is a reason not to attend, but if you didn't attend or you didn't get a topic at the first attempt, you have the benefit of the recording. So we are making use of the technology and we're delivering our classes online via Zoom. And I know some of you might ask the question, well, will we continue to deliver the MBA program via Zoom? And the answer to that is a bit tentative. We're not too sure as yet. As far as we could do it, we would deliver the classes online via Zoom. But it has to be with the approval of the Accreditation Council, first of all. So they would continue to allow us to deliver classes online because right now our approval or agreement is that students must attend a certain percentage of classes online. But because of the situation with COVID, they actually allow us to deliver online. So it has to be with the approval of the Accreditation Council and also the university who we partner with, which I'll tell you a bit later on. I'll go into more details about that university. And the good news, guys, is that for those of you who prefer the online classes or who want the convenience of attending the online classes, I could tell you, just yesterday, we went to the Accreditation Council. We had to sign our agreement because yes, we got approval for registration for a further 3 years, but that's nothing normal with us anyways. But we went to the Accreditation Council and we met with the executive director and a few other of the management team. And what they were saying is that based on the restrictions that we have right now, they are actually looking to change how institutions register, and they are looking to offer for private tertiary institutions like ourselves and even public tertiary institutions, they are looking to offer accreditation, and it's up to the institution to accept it for online delivery, right? So that's in the making right now. They're still looking at the standards and criteria and all of that to determine what we would need to do in order to get that approval or get that accreditation for online delivery. But it's good news in the fact that they recognize that there is a change now. The future is online classes, and they're looking to facilitate that hopefully in the near future, right? So as far as we could see, we would continue to deliver the online classes, but of course, it's with the approval of the Accreditation Council and of course, the university who we partner with, all right? At this point, I'd pause and ask, does anyone have any questions apart from what you may be posting in the chat? Okay, no problem. On your screen here, you would see after the first day we delivered our online class, we got a few testimonials for the online classes. And in this particular testimonial, the student is saying she enjoyed the class. She enjoyed the fact that it was interactive. She didn't expect it to be interactive. And of course, she complimented the lecturer on being prepared to deliver that online class. It's totally different from when you deliver in class to online classes. And most of our lecturers, if not all, would have been prepared and they would have been trained properly on how to use Zoom and how to deliver to get maximum effect and results. Yeah? Okay, so we would have gone through why study an MBA program, and I would have gone through the different reasons. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the University of Bedfordshire. They are based in the UK. Does anybody know where they're located in the UK? Anybody want to give it a shot and take a guess on where they are? To type it in. All right, so they are located in Bedford, right? That's why they call them the University of Bedfordshire, right? But they also have other campuses throughout the UK. In fact, they have campuses in Luton, Bedford, which is where the first campus started, but the main campus is in Luton, Puttridge, Aylesbury, and Milton Keynes. So they have a number of campuses locally in the UK, but they also have education partners globally and throughout the world as well. Some in China, in the Middle East, Europe, Southeast Asia, and in the Caribbean, more so in Guyana, where they have a teaching partner. And in Trinidad and Tobago, they actually have 3 schools who offer the same MBA program. CTS College is one of them. I wouldn't tell you who are the other 2, right? So for now, as far as you are concerned, CTS College is the only school in Trinidad who offers this program, right? But there are other schools as well. University has over 100 years experience in education or in higher education. Their main faculties are in management, which is where the MBA falls under, hospital and healthcare management, sport management, and there's another one which I can't remember. Those are the main faculties, but they offer a wide range of programs throughout. All right. And they're in the top 6% best universities in the world. In 2013, they won the Queen's Anniversary Prize, which is the coveted prize or award for universities in the UK. And in 2013, they would have won that award for a tertiary institution. Good? So that's a little bit about the University of Bedfordshire. In 2017, we partnered with them to offer the MBA program. All right? And right now, we offer the MBA program and also a BSc in Information Technology. So our relationship has developed throughout the years to the point where we're looking to offer more programs. And hopefully next year, there are a few MSc programs we'd be looking to offer with them as well. Good? So let me tell you a little bit about CTS College. Just by a show of hands. So on the Zoom screen, guys, under participants, if you click there, and you could raise your hand, just by a show of hands, how many of you are new to CTS College? You never attended CTS College before, you never heard about it before. Let's see how many of you. Right, so quite a few of you are fairly new to CTS College. So let me tell you a little bit about CTS College. Yeah, quite a few. So we are fairly small compared to some of the larger and more popular institutions like UWE, UTT, COSTAT. But where we've made our reputation count over the years is through student support services. And I'll tell you a little bit about that after. But initially, when we started, we have over 20 years experience in higher education. We started in October of, Mr. Raghunath, you could remind me of the year we started?
Sorry, we started in 1999.
Right. Sorry, you could go ahead.
Right there. We started in 1999. That's when we.
Right. And of course, Mr. Raghunath would have been one of the directors who started CTS College in October of 1999. Initially, guys, when we started small. We started offering like CXC programs, certificate programs, undergraduate programs. And basically, fast forward to today, we offer up to postgraduate and master's qualifications. The structure, the format which we use though is something called transnational arrangements. And basically what that means is that for our academic programs, we partner with foreign, recognized and accredited universities and educational institutions to offer their programs. So what we would do is we would do the teaching at CTS College, and the teaching, to be quite honest, is much better than what some of these universities do for their own programs. But that's besides the point. But we would do the tuition at CTS College. We would facilitate the classes at CTS College. But that program that you undertake is through the university. So the assessments would be done by the University of Bedfordshire. It would also be marked by the University of Bedfordshire. Everything is done with the University of Bedfordshire. And at the end of this program, when you complete it, you finish your final project, that certificate you would get in your hand is from the University of Bedfordshire. So that is the arrangements we have for our academic programs. But basically, we also have our own programs. We offer like professional development courses. We offer short courses. And more so on, more recently, we started offering like vocational programs as well. Yeah? Just give me 1 second. Yeah, so we offer vocational programs as well, right? We have over 20 years in the industry and we are ACTT recognized, and that's really important. Any institution, any program, guys, that you're looking at, you have to make sure it is accredited or recognized by the accreditation body locally, right? We are ACTT recognized. As I would have mentioned before, we recently attained our renewal for registration and for a period of 3 years. And you can verify that by going on the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago website, and you'll see our institution there. It may still be under pending because we only recently received the actual approval, but it should be there, and you could contact the ACTT to verify as well. And as I mentioned before, we offer programs from CXC go straight up to your master's degree, a range of professional development programs. And our boasting point really, and what I would have mentioned before, is student support services. The Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago, for the last couple of years, they discontinued it for financial reasons and budgetary reasons. But from 2010, I believe it was, to 2016, they would have posted what they call Quiet Awards for tertiary institutions. And guys, during those years, we would have won 6 awards for student support services. And this is comparing against the likes again of some of the larger institutions, right? We would have won awards in front of those institutions, 6 of them for student support services, 3 for excellence for an established quality management system, and 2 for excellence in teaching and learning. So that's our boasting point, basically, if you want to call it that. But apart from the Quiet Awards, our accolades as well is with one of the undergraduate programs which we offer, the ABE, for 88 ABE World Prizes. Actually, it's now 91 because recently at the last set of examination results, we got 3 more. So we would have won over 91 ABE World Prizes. World Prize is a student top in the world in a particular subject for a particular exam. And this is against comparing it against thousands of students who write globally. And since 2007, we've had the most World Prizes, 91. All right. We also partner with the University of Hertfordshire, and we would have won 44 World Prizes with them as well, or University Awards, which is students top in the globe. All right. And for another undergraduate program, ABMA, which we discontinued, we would have won 2 World Prizes as well. All right. And basically, it's not to boast or tell you about all these awards and prizes which we've won, but ideally is to highlight the fact that we pride ourselves in student support services and how we support these students academically as well as otherwise. And I think because of that support, guys, and because of what we try to do for students, it helps them in achieving their academic goals, and it helps them in even exceeding what they would have initially intended to achieve, you know? And with this MBA program, you would get the same type of support. And when I come to the assignments, I'll tell you about the support which we provide. Myself, program manager, basically, guys, you would have access to me 24/7, all right? So it's not a case you have to contact me during working hours or you have to call me. I think as students in an MBA program or in a tertiary program, you all need that support. Whether it's an administrative query, whether it's an academic query, you need that support. And we are here to provide that support. You would have access to my cell number, my email, WhatsApp, and we provide that support for students, right? That you would also have access to lecturers. So it's not just a case where a lecturer would come into a classroom and teach you, and that's the end of it. You all have access to all lecturers outside the classroom as well. So if you're not too sure about a particular topic, or you're not too sure about an assignment, lecturers are there to provide that support for you. Whether it's the telephone or email or WhatsApp or whatever it is, they will help you with that support, right? And provide that support for you. And I'll tell you a little bit about the assignments and how they support you with the assignments a bit later on, which is really critical. because at the end of the day, you need to pass your assignments in order to get your certificate, right? So I'll tell you about that support. Having said that, I just want to make it clear, we're not perfect in what we do. By no means we are perfect, and the services that we provide may be satisfactory at all times. There may be times I may not be able to take a call, or there may be times where a student may not be satisfied. But the most important thing for us is to realize that there's always room for continuous improvement. And because of that, and because what we try to do for the students, I think the students recognize and appreciate that, right? So whenever you all are enrolled in the program, you'd have access to me and you'd have access to your lecturers. And even if you don't have access to us or you can't get onto us, you can call the owner of the school directly, that's Mr. Ravi Raghunath, right? Or you can email him as well. But it's an open door policy. And that's important because when you pay your money, you deserve that service. Good? Any questions on the student support services or CTS College? Okay, none. I hope Mr. Raghunath and Mr. Bernard, who joined us, Mr. Bernard is actually a MBA program, a program manager at CTS College, and he would have undertaken the MBA and graduated last year as well. So he's here to provide answers to your questions on the chat as well, right? So our experience with the MBA program goes back as far as 9 years. Before, we would have offered another MBA program with an Australian institute, but they went completely online. So because of that, we had to form this relationship with Bedfordshire, which we've had no regrets doing. The average pass rate on a subject, and it would vary depending on the subject or the unit that you're undertaking, but the average pass rate is 93%. And I can tell you, most of the reasons why students fail is either they don't submit an assignment, they may not have the time to submit the assignment, or they start the assignment last minute and they don't have enough time to finish it. That's the main reason why. You have the support, you have all the information in order to pass your assignment. But we'll get into the details a bit later on, all right? We've had over 1,500 applications, over 800 graduates, guys, from our MBA programs. That's CTS College alone. So that's to tell you how competitive it is in Trinidad alone, or Trinidad and Tobago alone. Over 800 graduates from CTS College alone have MBA programs. It's really competitive. And if it is you're looking at making yourself more marketable, then I think the MBA really is the next step. Good? And of course, we have graduates employed in various sectors throughout. So let me tell you a little bit about what we call the 5 E's: accessibility, applied, accelerated, affordable, and accredited. Let's start off with the accreditation. Accreditation, guys, is really, really important. Any tertiary program you're looking at, and hopefully you'll be looking at this MBA program, right? But any tertiary level program you're looking at, you have to make sure it's accredited. And that's really important because what accreditation says, or what it does, is that it ensures an institution meets certain criteria, meets certain standards that is necessary to ensure quality learning outcomes as far as that program is concerned. So accreditation would look at everything, guys, from the institution, the resources which they have, how we budget for students, what our facilities are conducive for learning. It looks at that from that straight up to the learning outcomes, the assessments, the quality of the universities who we partner with. Really is a fine-tooth comb. And with accreditation, if you have a degree or master's and it's not accredited, and let's say you go to an employer and they realize that that qualification is not accredited, guess what? It's in vain, right? Or if it is you're looking to matriculate to a higher level program and it's not accredited, they simply will not recognize any degrees or master's programs that are not accredited. So accreditation is really important. And let me tell you about the accreditation for this program. Firstly, it's recognized locally by, does anybody know who's the local body who accredits programs in Trinidad? You could unmute your mic and say.
The Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago.
Right, thanks, Jonathan. The Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago, or ACTT. They have recognized, first of all, CTS College, and we are registered with them. But apart from that, they have also recognized the University of Bedfordshire as an official awarding body. That's important because your program, whatever program it is you're doing, it has to be recognized locally. And if it is you're going to ACTT ACT's website and you look at the can't remember the name of the page, but you look at the universities or the foreign bodies who they recognize, you would see the University of Bedfordshire is there, which means they would have gone through a stringent and robust process to get that approval process, right? But apart from that, this program is also recognized in the UK by the Quality Assurance Agency, or QAA. They're an independent body that checks on standards and quality in higher education in the UK. But the whole purpose of accreditation is that once your program or once your qualification is accredited, that means it's recognized globally, because accreditation ensures that you meet certain global and local standards. And so because this program is recognized locally by ACTT and also by the Quality Assurance Agency, this qualification would be recognized globally. And we've had students who completed the program, and one of them went to Canada recently to work. And when he went in, the employer took the certificate and they did research on the qualification. And they realized that this program was accredited by QAA. And once it was accredited by QAA and also recognized locally, they would have said, yes, it met that requirement for him to be considered for employment. And he got a job eventually. But I just wanted to highlight the purpose of accreditation and why it's so important. And to let you know, of course, that this program is accredited, is recognized locally, and is accredited by QAA. Good? Any questions on the accreditation? All right, so I know you all just waiting on the costing, and we'll come to that, but I still think it's prudent to communicate some important information to you, right? Transnational quality. Let's talk about the quality of the program. Marketing and promotions. Every single ad guides that we do for this program, whether it's newspaper, radio, television, whether it's on our website banner, it has to be approved by the university. Does anybody know what is the reason for that? Why they would want to approve every single ad that we send out there? Anybody want to take a guess? You can type it in the chat as well. All right, we'll get to the question, but the important thing is that the reputation of this program is important to them. And we can't post any claim or any ad that says otherwise. Basically, they need to approve the ads that we send out. And it's more about quality and recognition reason more than anything else, right? They approve the admissions as well. So when you submit your application forms to us, we won't say, yes, you approve, you could start the MBA program in August. It goes to the university, it goes through a process where they would assess your qualifications or your work experience, and they would give the final approval. All right? Faculty. Does anybody know what faculty is or who faculty is? You could type it in the chat as well. Faculty basically would be the lecturers that we have in our program. And the university has to approve every single lecturer that comes into our classroom at CTS College. And the reason for that is quite obvious, basically. I mean, we could have a real good interview for a lecturer, but we can't tell our lecturer, yes, you could start teaching from tomorrow, right? That lecturer has to be approved by the university. I see a couple of hands raised. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody? Okay, no problem, I'll continue. But if you have any questions, you could stop and then mute your mic and ask, or you could type it in the chat, right? But our lecturers basically has to be approved by the university, and they have to meet 3 criteria. Anybody? Larry, could you tell me was one of the criteria you think a lecturer would need to meet if they have to teach with CTS College and with the university?
I would guess they would need to have a significant amount of practical experience in the field of the subject area, as well as relevant academic qualifications that could be applied.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there, really. First of all, you must have a minimum master's degree in order to teach at the master's level. That's fairly obvious. But as Larry said, it's really important as well. This program is practical, guys, right? So it's really important for a lecturer to have that practical industry experience in whatever field it is he's teaching. So if, for example, Mr. Ravi Raghunath is teaching human resources, he must have at least 5 years senior management experience in human resources. or he must have some type of consultancy experience or practical experience. Because at the end of the day, just give me 1 second. At the end of the day, this is not about going in and reading a book and regurgitating the theory that is in that book. It's about applying the theory in a practical manner. And the only way in which you could do that is if you have a lecturer who could facilitate that practical experience, who could bring out that practical experience in the classroom. And therefore, that is a requirement that they must have that practical experience in that field. And when you look at the assignment, guys, again, the assignment is not just about giving a definition about a particular topic or area. It's about asking you to apply the theories that you would have read and done research on in the different areas. So they might give you a case study, they might give you an organization. For example, they might tell you, identify issues in human resource management in this organization using the different theories and concepts. But the main part is you have to come up with recommendations, practical recommendations, using practical experiences on how these issues could be improved or how they could be resolved, right? Or if, for example, you're doing corporate innovation and entrepreneurship, they might give you a case study with a company and tell you this is the company situation right now. How can this company use innovation and entrepreneurship to improve the operations, to make it more strategically viable, to make it more competitive, using the different theories and using the different concepts that you would have done research on. So it's practical, and students enjoy that practicality because at the end, they could go into their organizations or they could go into their own business places and make actual improvements or practical improvements. And therefore that is one particular criteria that's important for us. The third criteria really is that you could have the practical experience and you could have the qualifications, but that don't mean to say you could go in a classroom and teach, right? So the third requirement really is our lecturers must have some type of teaching experience before they go into the classroom, all right? And most of our lecturers, in fact, all of our lecturers would have met this criteria. And it's over 2 years now they teaching in the program, so they have some sort of experience in teaching in the different programs, right? University would provide you with all the teaching materials. So the PowerPoint slides, for example, the assignments, different journals and articles related to each of the subjects you're doing. Guys, you all would have access to this. You'd have access to your results online as well. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but you don't have to depend on a lecturer to email you the slides or email you the assignment. When you all start this program, you have access to the online portal and all these materials will be available to you, right? So that you can do your own independent learning and revision and research. Good? University would set all your assignments, and it's assignment-based, guys. There's no exams. They would do annual audits where they would come down to CTS College, or they would have an auditor assess us to make sure that we comply with all their regulations and policies, which is important because it ensures a certain level of quality is maintained. Yeah. And of course, they do continuous feedback and reviews where the feedback from you, the student, is attained. And based on the feedback, if there's any room for improvement, if there are any recommendations, then they would try as best as possible to implement. I have to say up front, they may not be able to make all the changes or all the recommendations that you would give, but at least you have a voice and at least you have a method and a media in which you could translate or in which you could communicate your concerns or queries. Good? As I said before, it's globally accessible. You all have access to your online portal where you have access to all the materials, right? University also has a 24/7 help desk. But most of the time students would contact us, and that's fine, you contact us, and if we can't resolve the query, you have access to the university's help desk as well. 24/7. And as I said before, it's a practical MBA. It solves real world business challenges by ensuring that the assessments that you have to do, the research you have to do, is all applied and not about regurgitating theory or repeating a definition that is from a textbook or from a website. All right? All of the assessments, guys, that you would need to do would be assignments, no exams. There's one exception if it is you're doing the marketing specialization. For one of the assessments, there's one exam. But apart from that, For most of the other specializations, if not all, you all have assignments to do. So for each subject, and I'll go through the duration of the subject, each subject, you have 2 assignments to do. The assignments can range from 2,500 words to 3,500 words, depending on the subject, basically. And of course, they have the guidelines and they would have the structure for your assignments to do as well. Good, but it's all assignments. It's accelerated. How long do you all think you could complete this MBA program in? Anybody, just unmute your mic and say. 2 years?
1 year.
1 year. I was going to say 12 months, but same thing. All right. 1 year. You can complete this program in 1 year. And how that works, guys, is that it is block delivery. And what we mean by block delivery is that, I'll give you an example. When I undertook my undergraduate program at CTS College, by the way, as a student here, I wasn't working here. That undergraduate program, I had about 4 subjects or 2-3 subjects in a semester. But here's the challenge with that. That semester was long, about 3 months or so, 3-4 months. But at the end of that semester, I had exams to undertake for those 3-4 different subjects. And those exams were within the space of 1 week. So basically, if I didn't prepare, or whether or not I prepared, I had to cram for 3-4 different subjects to do the exams or do the assignments within 1 week. With this block delivery, you focus on one subject at a time, which is the attractiveness of the program, which is why most of the students choose to do it. Not saying that nobody here can't do 3-4 different subjects in a semester, but it's better if you focus on one subject at a time. So your focus is on that one subject, right? That subject runs for a period of 6 weeks. So although it's one subject, it's very compact because you're doing it over a 6-week period, right? And basically our classes, and guys, this program is no different from any other recognized or accredited MBA program in terms of the content, in terms of the recognition, in terms of the learning outcomes. The thing is, over that 6 weeks, you would have classes, concentrated classes, but it's whole day classes. Ideally, we say from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. on Saturdays, and I'll go through the schedule, and at the end of this, guys, I'll send you the class schedule for 2020 and 21. But ideally, the classes would start from around 8 a.m. and on average, it might finish about 3:30. And the reason for that is that we're not shortchanging you, but the reason for that is that once the lecturers cover the intended topics for that day, then they would stop off earlier. Because especially after lunch, and some of you might know this, you tend to get a little bit sleepy and the concentration level is not there because you're saturated. So most of the times they would finish around 3:30. So, but it's whole day classes basically. And because of that, you cover more content. You don't have to space out the classes over 3-4 months. You cover more content, right? It's just 6 subjects. So basically a subject over a 6-week or 2-month period, just 6 subjects, and the completion time is 12 months. Let me just quickly summarize that. A unit or a subject runs for a period of 6 weeks, followed by a 2-week break. And we say a break, guys, but ideally that 2-week break is where you should be preparing for the next subject that comes up. So you have a little bit of preparation time to get that foundation for the next subject, right? Because you'll have access to it online. After that 2-week break, you start your next subject. And basically you do that for 6 subjects running. Completion time is 12 months for 6 subjects. Any questions on the schedule or the structure or the delivery of the program? And you could post your chats and Mr. Raghunath or Mr. Bernard would answer the questions. But anyone has any question that they would like to ask, unmute and ask now. All right, if you do it, you just unmute your mic and ask, stop and ask, right? But I'll go through it again shortly. Nobody's wondering, well, you know, when you look at other MBA programs, they have about 10 or 12 or 14 different subjects. How come this program is just 6 subjects? What kind of program you all offering here? Nobody's thinking or want to ask that question? You all okay with that? Just 6 subjects and that's fine? Whereas other MBA programs are 12, 14 different subjects? All right, let me explain quickly. I think the most important thing to consider is the content and not the amount of subjects that you need to do. And what I mean by that is that you have to look at what you're covering for the entire duration of the program or for each subject, and not the amount of subjects. And I'll give you an example. So for example, with the leading and managing organizational resources, which is one of the core units which we offer, there's a number of subject areas you cover under that one unit. So you're covering leadership, you're looking at corporate governance, you're looking a little bit about finance and human resource management. But each of these subject areas are all related. So it shows you how these topic areas are related throughout the organization. It's under one subject area, but you cover a number of disciplines or a number of areas within the organization, right? So again, it's about the content that you're covering and not necessarily the amount of subjects that you'd be doing, right? And when you compare this program and the learning outcomes and what you have to cover, and when I compare it against the other MBA which we offer, there's a lot more content that you need to cover, although it's 6 different subjects. But the quality is maintained, so you don't have to be concerned about the number of subjects, right? And it's affordable, and we'll get to the costing just now. I know that's what you're all waiting on, and we're due to finish within a couple minutes, but let me just cover a few things as well. We offer 9 different specializations, guys. And if I could just show you the list of specializations, we have 2 MBA general options. So if you're not interested in any of the specialization areas, you could consider general MBA. All right, and I'll explain it in a short while. We offer oil and gas management, human resource management, hospital and health service management, digital technology management, finance, logistics, and marketing. So my advice is that someone might ask, well, what specialization do I choose, right? If you're not too sure, some of you may be certain you want to do HRM or you want to do digital technology. That's fine. But if you're not too certain, then we are here. You can have a chat with us to find out what may be the best option for you. At the end of the day, it all depends on you and what you want to attain in terms of your career and your professional objectives. But we might be able to advise you on what may be the better specialization. And the reality is, if you're not in any of these areas, specialization areas, then you may want to consider the general MBA. But again, if you have any queries or you're not too sure, you could give us a call or you could email me, and I'll provide my details after, and we'd be happy to advise you on what may be the best option for you. Good? Any questions at this point? Okay, you're just waiting on the question and we'll get to that. How the program is structured, guys, is that you have, remember I told you 6 subjects that you need to do, right? You have 4 core modules, right? It's a bit small, but I'll go through it after, right? Leading and managing and strategy and the global, and your 2 final projects, which you do at the end. But basically, regardless of the specialization, you do these 4 core subjects here. And then depending on the specialization that you choose, you have 2 elective subjects. So if, for example, somebody is doing the MBA in oil and gas management, they would do the 4 core modules, again, 2 core, and the 2 projects at the end. But they would also do these 2 electives that are specific to the oil and gas management specialization, which is business economics and petroleum management and governance. So depending on the specialization, you have 2 electives that you need to do, as well as 4 core modules. It is not done in any particular or specific order, other than the fact that your 2 final projects are the last 2 subjects that you would do. All right? Guys, because of the timing, I wouldn't go through each of the specializations and the subjects. But what I would do is I would email this presentation to you, and I would email all the information and the recording of the session. So you'd have access to the information, right? But the information is here. So for example, you choose the MBA General Option 1. These are your 2 core subjects. These are your 2 electives here. And of course, your 2 final projects at the end. So I'll send you the information after and you'll have access to it, right? So I'll just skip through all of the specializations and the subjects we offer. The intakes which we have 6 different intakes, guys, for the year. And basically it's every 2 months. At the start of every subject, we would have an intake. September, November, January, March, June. And the next intake, which may be relevant for those of you who wanted to start right away, would be July. Actually, at the end of July, classes start on August the 1st. But I'll tell you about the deadlines and thing after. Any questions at this point in time? right? Let's skip through quickly then. Again, you study 4 30 credit subjects and then your 2 final projects at the end. And the class, how the classes are structured, guys. Remember I told you have 6 weeks of classes, right? Those 6 weeks, which are on the Saturdays for those subjects. Let me just explain something quickly to you. Let me go back. Let me just go back one thing here. So remember I said you have 4 core subjects to do, right? The 2 final projects, guys, would be at the end, and those on Sundays. Other than that, the other classes are on Saturdays, right? So for example, you're doing oil and gas, business economics, petroleum management and governance. Those classes would be on Saturdays. For the core units, which would be leading and managing and strategy, because everybody are doing those subjects, we would also have a Sunday option for it, right? Because everybody can't fit in one class. And even though it's online, we still like to keep those classes, those online classes interactive. And if you have too many people in it, it is not interactive. So even for the online classes, for the core subjects, guys, there's a Saturday option, or you can choose to attend classes on Sundays, right? I just wanted to make that clear and to clarify that. Going back to the structure now, to the class structure, you have 6 weeks of classes. After the 3rd week, your first assignment or assignment 1 is due, right? And that's due at the end of the 3rd week. After weeks 4, 5, and 6, assignment 2 will be due. Good? Everybody understands that, right? So 6 weeks of classes, your assignments are due. Assignment 1 after the 3rd week, assignment 2 after the 6th week. And then you have your 2-week break, which is not really a break because you're supposed to be preparing for your next subject, right? But you have that 2-week break and then you start back the next subject after that. That's basically the structure and how we deliver the classes at CTS College. You have 4 units basically with 2 assignments per unit when you reach the final project stage. One of the final projects is a 3,000-word report. And the second final project, which is your dissertation, is a 1,500-word report, which is like your proposal, and then 7,500 words for the final report. And at the end, you get your MBA certificate, right? And believe me, I've been in these information sessions numerous times at the Hyatt, mainly, and then online. And that year really flies, guys. Before you know it, you're starting your first program, and before you know it, you have your MBA certificate in hand. This week, we received MBA certificates from students, and all of them were saying that year really went by quickly because to them, they just started the program, and at the end of it, they finish your project, they're collecting the certificate. It really goes by quickly, you know? Especially if you have a deadline for an assignment and you don't have much time, that deadline comes by really quickly, all right? To pass a unit, you must attain 40% aggregate, meaning over the 2 assignments. Once you have an average of 40% or more, you would pass. If you do not pass, there's a referral assignment you would do, which allows you an attempt to pass the unit, and that referral would be capped at 40%, right? But to pass, the pass mark is 40% basically. Again, what if you fail? Then you'd be required to do the referral. If you fail the referral, then you'd have to retake the entire unit, okay? Just skipping through quickly. And let me just tell you about the support. I know I've mentioned the support and having access to me 24/7 and having access to our lecturers 24/7. But here's what the real support is. I mean, yes, the 24/7 access is important, but for you, the student, I know the most important support that you would need is when you have to undertake your assignments. And what our lecturers do, and I think this is what distinguishes us from the other institutions, both locally and foreign, is that we required our lecturers to provide support to the students for the assignments. Specifically, as a student, and for each assignment you have to do, our lecturers are required to document an assignment guideline for the students. Now, I want to be clear, it is not spoon feeding. At this level, a lecturer wouldn't tell you what to write, what theories to write about, where to write it, where to put it, how to write about it. But they would document that guideline that gives you a basic structure for the assignment. These are some of the theories you would want to consider. This is the discussion you would want to consider in your recommendation. this is how you'd want to close off, but a basic structure. You don't have to follow that structure, but it's a basic guideline, and it really helps guys, especially if it's a topic or area that you're not too familiar with. That documented guideline from the lecturers help the students. Or sometimes you might attend a class and you may not grasp the concept, and that documented guideline helps you. And all of our lecturers are mandated to document that guideline for each assignment you, the student, has to undertake. Again, you're not limited by that, but at least it's a start and it supports you with undertaking your assignment. The second part of the support from our lecturers is that they are required to review drafts of your assignment. So if, for example, a student is disciplined enough, you write your assignment and the lecturer gives you a deadline, you can email that draft to the lecturer. And what they would do is they would review it and give you feedback and tell you where are some of the areas you can improve on. But the fact is, by having the lecturer review that draft, it gives you a better chance of getting a higher mark if you could improve it, right? And that's the second part of the support which our lecturers provide as well for your assignments. Apart from the assignment support, we would conduct an orientation session or an induction session where we would go through certain requirements for the MBA program. The first part is introducing you to the MBA level of study or the master's level of study, how to think strategically. The second part is more academic writing, where you would focus on critical thinking, how to write properly at the master's level, how to structure your assignments, how to reference, which is a big part of it, and how to do research in order to write professionally or write at the master's level. And that induction or that orientation really gives you that foundation for starting the MBA program. Now, our induction is done online, so you have the benefit of the recording as well, right? But that support system is there from the time you start your program, guys, to the end where you have to complete your project and your dissertation. And even at the end for that project and dissertation, you have a lecturer who will be working with you one-on-one with that project as well. So the support is there and you just have to tap in and make use of it, right? Any questions at this point? This is a quiet bunch, boy. Remember when you all start this program, it's interactive and you'll be required to communicate in the class sessions as well, right? Any questions? Okay. Students as well, we also have a student representative body where students voluntarily represent, and they basically is like what they call it, the student union, basically. So they represent the student body, and from time to time they would meet with the university to discuss some of the challenges which they may be having or some of the recommendations which they have. But at least you have a channel in which to voice your concerns, either as a representative or to voice those concerns, say student representative, right? Right, so I'll get into the cost. Graduation, of course, is at the Hyatt Regency. We will do it at the end of each year. Hopefully we'll be able to have graduation this year and hopefully next year as well, depending on how the COVID situation works, right? But it's at the Hyatt. But you as a student as well has the option or have the option to graduate at the university in Luton in their campus, right? So that option is available to you at your own cost, of course, but at least you have the opportunity to go up there and graduate with the university. If not, the better experience I could tell you is at the Hyatt locally, where we would have our graduation. And at the start of this information session, you would have seen a few clips and videos of students at graduation last year, right? So let's go through the entry requirements quickly. It's simple. To get into this program, guys, basically you need to meet either of two criteria. Either you have a recognized bachelor's degree, right? And we would need the certificate, or some persons may not have the bachelor's degree, or they may not have the academic qualifications, but you have the experience. Remember this, guys, this program is not so much about academics, but it's about strategic information, applying that strategic information, applying the theory. So if you have at least 3 years supervisory or management experience, you could be considered for the program as well. And just to clarify, your job title does not need to state supervisor or manager, but once the functions you perform are strategic or it's at that level, then they would consider it. And one of the requirements, we'll get into the requirement now, is for the bachelor's degree, you complete the application form, all right? And you submit a copy of your certificate and ID. That's it. And I'll email the application form after, right? For the managerial experience, sorry, I lost that screen, the application form, your resume, and a letter from your employer stating your job title, the duration in that job, and it's recommended at least 3 years, and also some of the strategic functions that you perform. So again, your job title doesn't have to have supervisor, it doesn't need to state manager, but once your employer could show on that job letter the strategic functions that you perform, then you can be considered for the MBA program. And what we will do is when you get that, actually at the end of this presentation, guys, I'll email you the presentation and the information, but I'll also email a sample job letter, which your employer could use as a template. So they just fill out the information on that template, but they could use it as something to work with, right? But once they list these strategic functions and you send that letter to me, I would assess it just to make sure it's okay, it meets the requirement, and then I would send it to the university where they would assess it and give the final approval, right? Any questions on the entry requirement? Okay, I get into the cost. I know that's what you're waiting on.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I heard you said just now that you will vet the letter and then you will send it to the university. So is it that all admissions to CTS college has to be vetted by the university and not necessarily locally?
Yeah, correct. And I don't know if vet is the correct word because we would vet it here. We would check to make sure it's okay. But then it goes to the university and they have the final say in whether or not that letter meets your requirement for you to be considered in the program.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for that question. Kind of broke the monotony. Right, and let's get to the costing now, guys, right? We like 10 minutes over, but that's not too bad, right? Now, before we get to the costing, let me just show you some comparisons for other MBA programs offered locally in Trinidad and Tobago. So if it is you're considering doing an MBA program at the LockJack institution, and that's the IMBA, it's 100,000 plus, right? Over 100,000, and that's with gate. If you're doing your MBA at SBCS, does anybody know which university they partner with?
Anglia Ruskin.
No, Harriet what is SBCS?
Oh, here. Okay.
It's over 90,000 to do that MBA program. And if you're doing it at SAMS, which is Anglia Ruskin, I think that's the one you're referring to, it is either 64,300 or 83,200 with executive support. And that executive support is like with lunch for classes and that type of support. But basically, this is an average of the costing of other MBA programs offered locally in Trinidad and Tobago. Guys, if you have to do this MBA program with the University of Bedfordshire, let's say you go up to the UK and you go on campus to do it, it's going to cost you £12,500 basically, which is on average around 125,000 TT, right? That's the cost of the program if you have to do it in the UK. What I can say is, before I get into our costing, what I can say is that we were able to negotiate with the university because we're doing the teaching, we're doing the majority of the work. So we were able to negotiate with them a much lower rate for their fees. Apart from that, we adopted a costing strategy where we offer the MBA at a lower pricing. Let me state from upfront that the costing of our MBA program is in no way a reflection of the quality or the recognition or the accreditation of the program because it's at a lower cost. And you know, there's a saying, cheap things not good. In this case, this is not a cheap thing. It's just that we adopted a costing strategy where we felt that if we lower the pricing of the program, we would get more enrollments, and it has worked for us. It was a situation where we liaised with the university as well to have their prices lower, which means we could have offered a lower price to you, the student, into, right? So let me go through the costing of this MBA program. Right, so there's a breakdown of the fees, but the only thing you need to look at is the final cost here. It's $46,500, right? Guys, again, if it's up to me, this program would have been much more than this costing that I'm showing you here. But luckily for you, it's not up to me. And we had a management team who made that decision. But the costing really is £1,500 is university fees. Our tuition and registration, whatever, is $31,500. That gives you an approximate total of around $46,500. That's the costing of the MBA program. And if it is you had to do this program with us, whether it was online or in classes, this would have been the initial costing we started off with. But guess what? You know, when you got the information for the information session, you would have seen where we would have offered up to 12,000 off the costing as well. And the reason again for that is because of the situation with COVID, a lot of students were hesitant about committing financially to a program. Apart from that, a lot of students were affected in terms of their income. Some of them lost their jobs. Some of them, their salaries were reduced. And because of that, 2 months ago, we decided to further reduce the program by up to $12,000 to assist with that situation as well, right? And the costing or the discount can vary. And let me just go through that quickly. So I'll show you what your payment options are and what the discounted options could be for you, depending on how you pay, right? And again, guys, you may not understand or you may not fully comprehend everything, but you could query with me after, as well as I will send you all the information in an email after, right? Let's go through the costing now. Payment option 1 is if you pay all the fees upfront, you get 12,000 off. That, you remember that 46,500 I showed you? You get 12,000 off if you pay all those fees upfront. Payment option 2 is if you pay at the start of each semester, and a semester is like every 4 months, then you get 9,000 of the tuition fees, right? Or some persons may not be able to pay upfront, or you may not be even able to pay every 4 months, at the start of every 4 months. So we also have a monthly payment option where you pay smaller amounts every month. And if you go with the monthly payment option, you still get a discount. You get 6,000 of the total tuition, right? So the discounts can range between 6,000 to 12,000. So if you go in with payment option 1, where you pay all the fees upfront, these are the fees here that you would need to pay. 18,000 in our local tuition, that covers you for the entire year. £1,500, which is the university fees, that covers you for the entire year as well. And 1,500 TT for registration. So in the end, it'll cost you approximately, and I say approximately depending on the rate of the sterling, $34,500 for this MBA program if you pay all your fees up front. The stipulation for that though, for this discount, because we would budget for different periods for the discount, is that you have to apply within 1 week, right? And to apply, guys, you're not committed. You don't have to pay anything to apply. There's no application fee, nothing you have to pay. All you need to do to apply is submit your application form and the supporting documents. I don't think you have anything to lose other than the effort to submit your application form, right? But to qualify for this discount, you must apply within 1 week, submit your application form, you don't have to pay anything, and start in the August or October intakes. That's it, right? That's the stipulation. And you have to submit those documents by July 16th, which I think is next week, Friday, I believe it is, right? You have to submit those documents to me. If you get in trouble to get a certificate or a job letter, just liaise with me and I'd be happy to extend that period for application. It's not set in stone, but at least it's a guidance date in which we require that you submit your documents, right? The second payment option, guys, is if you pay every semester, right? You get 9,000 off. And basically the semester payments would look like this. You pay 7,000 every 4 months for our local tuition, £500, which is the university fees. And for the first semester, you pay a one-time registration fee of $1,500. But for the semesters after that, the 2 semesters after that, all you pay is 7,000 TT for the local tuition and £500 for the university fees, right? And you're paying that every 4-month period, basically. Good? Again, the stipulation is you must submit your application documents to me by July the 16th and start in the August or October intakes, right? And let me just go through the third payment option and then I'll take questions, right? Third payment option is if you're paying monthly, you still get that $6,000 discount. But how it works is that for the first or every month, you pay $2,000, which is our local tuition, and £125, which is the university fee. And again, there's a one-time registration fee that you pay at the start, which is $1,500. You don't have to pay this $1,500, guys, when you're applying. You pay it when you get accepted and you're ready to start. Then you start paying your fees. Once you confirm that you got up accepted and you're ready to start, then you pay the fees. Other than that, you don't have to pay fees, right? Or prior to that, you don't have to pay any other fees. Now, with the monthly payment option, again, is like I said, $2,000 locally, local fees every month, and £125. One thing to note, guys, is that the reason why we put in the pounds separately is that you have to pay the university fees in pounds, either by a bank draft, so you go to your local bank and get a bank draft for whatever the pounds is, or you can make a deposit to our First Citizens Sterling account in that pounds, whether it's £500, £1,500, or £125 if you're paying monthly. But it has to be in the pounds. Unfortunately, and some students might ask, can we just pay the TT equivalent? But unfortunately, if you pay the TT equivalent, sometimes we get problems to get the pounds or to get the currency at our local bank because of the sheer volume and amount, right? So if 20 students enroll and we had to pay £40,000, it's almost impossible to get that, which is why we require you, the student, to get the pounds from your local bank and pay in pounds. And once you pay in pounds, we could wire the funds to the university or we could pay them in that currency, right? So that's the main reason why we require to pay in the pounds, and it's not necessarily to stress you out or make you go to the bank to get the pounds, but because of the situation with the currency, you really need it in the pounds. Good? Any questions on the payment?
Hi. Yes. You hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Ryan here. Morning.
Hi, Ryan.
I think someone did write that question via credit card. Is there any facility if you could pay any item in with your credit card?
Well, the local fees, which is our fees, you could come in and swipe your credit card. But for the university fees, unfortunately, you can't pay with credit card. They don't have that facility, at least not yet, right? Because what we do is when students make the payment, we just send one bulk payment to them. So at least the university fees, you can't pay it with credit card just yet.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. So just to be clear, right? If you chose option 3,
right?
Basically, once you are admitted, well, you are accepted to the university, you'll have to pay a total of $47.50 upfront, which is the first month's CTS tuition fees, the exam fees, which is the £125, plus the one-time $1,500 registration.
That's absolutely correct. And
thereafter,
it could vary depending on the rate, but on an average, $47.50. Correct.
Okay, and thereafter will just be the CTS tuition and the exam fees monthly.
Which is an average of around $3,250 monthly. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question on the costing, guys? Here's what I'd like you to do, though. The last time we had this information session, I would have sent the email and the details, but not everybody. Hi, Radhika, question?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, with regards to the cost, right?
Yeah. Radhika, you broke up and I hear you.
The fees to the university. Hold on, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tuition.
Mm-hmm.
How you paying the money if you're doing with going with option 1, right? Like you're paying all up front. You have to pay all to the university, and how you paying it to CTS?
You can pay all to us as well, either credit card, cash, a personal check, a bank draft, any most of the payment options we would accept for the local.
So you still have to do a bank draft to the university.
Yeah, either a bank draft, or you could bring in the sterling and cash, that's in the UK currency, or you could deposit it to our sterling bank account.
Oh, okay then, no problem. Thanks.
But when the time comes, we'll give you the information, ID account number.
Yeah, we'll call one. Yeah. And
right.
Just to clarify the question, guys, just to clarify, sorry, the bank draft is with the pounds is made out to CTS College, not to the university, right? So it's made out to CTS College.
Yeah, right? Because we would deposit and then send one bulk payment or wire transfer to the university, right? Guys, I was saying the last time we had our information session, not everybody got the email. So what I'd like you to do is you see this email on your screen here, if you could take it down. And Jude, I don't know if you could type it in the chat as well, or Ravi, I don't know if you could type it in the chat as well. So guys, if you don't get any email from me, check your junk or spam as well, because sometimes it goes to your junk or spam. If you don't get any email from me by around 12 p.m. or after today, just send an email to this email stating that you didn't get it. And we'll send the information to you. I think sometimes we have persons who join, but we may not have had your email or registration from before. And because of that, you may not get the email with the details, right? So take this email down, and once you have it and you don't get that email from me by 12 p.m. today, just send an email to study at CTS College and we'll send you the details, right?
I have one more question.
Sure, Marina.
Just to confirm, when we are doing the application, we are sending our application form, supporting documents, and all that we need to R. Johnson at CTScollege.com, right?
Or you could send it to, yeah, you could send it to R. Johnson or study at CTS College as well. And I'll get the email if you send it to study at CTS College.
And could you indicate when you would like to start? Like, if I know you said you had a start at July and it's one in November, October, November, could you indicate in the email when you would like to start, or do you all
well, not in the email, but on the application form, there's a section where you put in the specialization and the MBA, and there's also a section to put in the period in which you'd like to start. So you could put it in there as well.
Nice, thank you.
All right, Marina, no problem. So guys, everybody got this email, right? Study. You could use this email for everything, to send your application.
Good afternoon. Question.
Sure.
Laura here. Pertaining to GATE, for those persons who do not qualify for GATE, what are the figures?
Well, actually, you notice I didn't mention anything about GATE.
I realize, yeah.
That is that this program is not GATE funded. In fact, in 2017, GATE funding was removed from all private tertiary institutions. In fact, the only institution which you'll get GATE from would be the public institutions like UE and UTT, who offer their own programs. And even stuff, in order to qualify for GATE, you would still need to go through the means testing and average household income qualifications in order to qualify for GATE. But even without GATE, and you can do your own independent research, even without GATE, it's still the most affordable MBA program.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. So guys, any questions? All right, let me sincerely thank you for taking the time to attend our information session. I know we went way beyond the time, but I think the information was important, and it was prudent that I give you all the information so that you can make a decision as to whether or not this program could really benefit you. But thanks for taking the time to attend today. If you have any further questions or queries or concerns, feel free to call us. When I send the email, my phone number, my cell number would be at the bottom of that email. Feel free to call, email, WhatsApp if you have any queries at all. And we'd be happy to clarify or to answer those questions, right? So thank you once again for attending our session. And hopefully we'll be able to see you in CTS College. If not in person, online in our MBA classes. Good? Thank you.
Is online classes or?